What up, what up, what up? All right, hang tight. Let me get my peeps in. I'm peepsing. What's cracking? I love you guys. I don't know if you most of us know that, but I love you guys. You know who else I love too? James fucking Reeves. God, what a great person. What just a great human being. It's funny that I always get my own notification, but the moment that other motherfuckers need the notification, it just doesn't come. Hold up. All right, hold on. Let me get these fools in here. Oh, I love you too. Barack, thanks, buddy. That's that triple S. I need to stop putting my airsoft up there. You know what I'm saying? All right, hold on. What it does, cuz common courtesy. Still waiting on that bullshit. 3D printing Gestapo CRS firearms swore we'll be stopping all 3D printing. Y'all are cool, but that dude is pure cock children. I saw that, Tyler. Thank you for that comment, man. I appreciate that. Thanks, buddy. Yeah, no, I think what CRS firearms meant. What up, Rich? I think what he meant is fuck. Hold on, I gotta send this goddamn. Give me 1 second. I gotta send this shit out. Hold up. Forward march. Boom. Okay, no. So I think what CRS firearms was referring to was that like eventually in the future we would get to a point where they would control it to that level. I don't think like their next step was to do basic training for Space Force and then basic training for 3D print force. I just think that just wait a second. Yeah, good evening, good evening. Freeman, Tyler, double plus son, good. What's cracking? Common courtesy, what up? I know who you are. I know who you are. You see, you know. DS Elite. They call him Mellow Yellow. Beefer, Child, Rando, Barack, I believe it or not, Barack, I actually voted for you. Yep, your first term. I had different beliefs at that point, and I actually compromised on some of my own personal beliefs because you talked a good game. I was asleep though, man. I didn't understand what was going on. Now I know the truth. The real truth, who the real leaders, saviors are. Eric, hello, Dark. Voting is fake and gay. Agreed. There is no politician that will save us. There is no president that will save us. There is no group of politicians that will save us. The only thing that will save you is becoming self-sufficient and energetics. JMFM, bro, I'm telling you, I was asleep, man. I was beyond sleep. I was being heavily sedated. I'll say that. I also was a drug addict at the time. I was a literal heroin addict. Shh, guys, Light is here. I don't want him to hear anything that we were talking about. Okay, promise. Promsies, pinky promsies. Okay, I'm gonna let him in. Okay, shh. I've been clean for over 10 years. November 5th, 2010. All right, hang tight. Yo, it's trippy, bro. It's so trippy.
Oh yeah, I got the outside lights on.
Drug
Ambiance,
addict,
man.
aka a Democrat.
A
Sorry,
little bit of ambiance.
I like it, man. It's tickling my fancy.
Waiting for
Let's hope
somebody
this,
ratted you out.
bro. No, I was telling them that I was an addict around the time that I voted for Obama, and they were like, "Yeah, a drug addict, aka a Democrat."
Yeah, I think I'd become a drug addict too if I was still around, if Obama was still around in office.
Yeah, I'd be wiping this. Well, I wouldn't be wiping the spit
I
off
would
my
need
shotgun.
antidepressants.
Somebody would be wiping my spit off of my shotgun. I am a recovering heroin addict too. March 1st, 2016. Fuck yeah, bro. I was an IV dope user as well. Good for you, man. Stay clean. At least don't shoot heroin.
Hold on,
Yeah,
let
I was
me.
playing like a bundle a day. What area are you in, Fairchilds? The moment we start talking about drugs, our viewership is like people don't like talking about that shit.
No, but people have passed, and it's all on how we can overcome and achieve, and be better for ourselves and our family and the people around us.
Hell yeah, man. Everything is compromised, but not dark. But all social media. So dark, I grew up near where you're at. Lots of old friends have been down. Oh, bro, my area. Oh, okay. Like Garrisonville, that area. Or are you talking like further out, like 556, 554? I'm trying to throw stuff out that's not too. Oh, staff. Yeah, gotcha. Yeah. What was that 610? Yeah. Okay. I'm like an hour and a half away from that area, but I'm like in the real Nova, because you motherfuckers out in that area like to call it Nova. That's like Snova. All right, I can tell you. Oh my goodness, ladies and gentlemen, welcome our guest.
Hello, hello.
We have audio.
What's up, brother?
We have a beautiful frozen picture of you right now.
Yeah, I see if I can fix that.
Let me go back. Fairchilds, where are you from, Fairchilds? Sorry, I was engaged in convo. Oh, I'm your new hero. Thank you.
There we go. Oh,
Nope.
again.
Where's Dark? 1 minute. Gotcha. Okay, cool. All right. Let's do a little Cali. Gotcha. Black tar. Sorry, go ahead.
I decided to bring this gentleman on, change up the stream a little bit. He is a grower of fine fungi for culinary purposes, stuff of that nature. And fungus is definitely a great thing that you can get into. You can do it on your own property. You can grow these things and make a good profit off of them. Some of them are medicinal, stuff of that nature. But let me introduce this gentleman, or I'll allow you to introduce yourself. Go for it, brother.
My name is Travis, and I'm the owner, founder of Apex Mushrooms. started as a small hobby, growing a couple oyster grow kits that you can buy at the store, just set them on your countertop, spray them with a water bottle, and then you see mushrooms, and it's like, okay, how can I do this myself? Because these kits are like $30 and they can't be that expensive. So it took a bit of research because, it's just a lot of information, but nailed it down, got the science down, and now we're growing our own oysters and Piopinos and working on lion's mane and shiitake.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
And how profitable can that business end up becoming for you?
The profit is, it's let's put it this way. You can make with a 10 by 10 room, you can grow 500 to 600 pounds a month, which is anywhere between $2,000 and $4,000, depending on if you're selling it wholesale or retail, if you're selling it by individual pounds or bulk packages. Because you can sell to like restaurants where you sell, 4 different types of mushrooms. They buy a 20-pound box and they just get what they get.
Yeah.
Farmers market, you can break it out individual and sell it per pound and make more money.
Hell yeah.
That's crazy.
So it's go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, and the beauty of this is that obviously mushrooms are edible, right? But also, we talked about find your way to solidify a black market business, tax-free business, and we encourage you to operate legally if you choose to go down a route like this. But if one were to choose a business like this, it would be, I'd imagine, lower cost startup with the right information, knowledge, mentorship, and pretty high profitability.
Yes, it's a pretty low startup cost for the amount of return profit that could be made. But it's like any other business. You just got to put work into it. If you have a good quality product, it'll sell itself, though.
Yeah, for sure. So I saw a picture not too long ago of a rather large mushroom. How large can these things get?
Well,
I guess there's so many different kinds.
Yeah, I was going to say mushrooms can grow indefinitely if they're given the right environment and the right stimuli and the right nutrition. So they have mushrooms up in the Washington forest that are 6 to 8 foot tall, 2 to 3 foot wide.
Shit.
That's a tree.
Yes, yeah. There's a YouTuber who's got a small farm from Canada, Fresh Cap Mushrooms. He's got a reishi mushroom cap that he harvested and he sealed it so it would stay solid, and he's got it hanging up on his wall, and it's 40 inches across. I mean, it's giant.
You can have that as a coffee table.
Exactly.
Yeah, really.
Once it becomes petrified.
Hell yeah. And this goes along the lines of what we were saying before, and other streams and podcasts is find your sustainability, find your independence. And Travis over here, he found his independence, or one step to independence, whether it's financial or to be able to feed himself, or be able to sell them and trade, whatever it may be, if shit ends up hitting the fan. So I mean, this is somebody who's actually taking steps and moving forward. He's got at this he dropped off. He's got an actual business.
It just says device not connected. He's coming back.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm like 10 feet away from my router. I don't know what's going on.
That's all right.
We're both on cell phones, man.
It's all good. So this viewer, Sport Brand, says, this episode is going to be awesome. Great guest. My buddy did this. He was able to use free coffee grounds from a small coffee shop's trash.
Yes, that is a huge benefit about this market is most of the gourmet mushrooms
Mm-hmm.
grow on biological waste or food waste. So you can go to
Like
restaurants and get their
steaks.
old banana peels and their old orange peels and all their coffee grounds, and you take all that stuff and mix it with a little bit of straw, sterilize it, and you have a substrate. So
Hey,
very minimal money, just put a little bit of time and effort into it, and you can get it for free.
and I was having a conversation with you previously, a couple months back, talking about the different things that fungi can actually do. Can eat up waste spills, help add a substrate to your soil, your garden beds, stuff of that nature, to be able to help break down nutrients and re-release them as a symbiotic relationship, or even just be able to help compost your compost a little bit better. And like I said, also can take care of spill waste, stuff like that. I mean, they're working on some crazy different varieties. I was talking with him, Travis, about I forget the guy's name, Paul Stamets.
Cost, damn it. Yeah.
Yeah, he ended up getting recruited for DARPA, but he had a fungal spore that he designed, that you basically sprinkle around your house, and it would kill off all the ants, all the termites, everything under the sun. And he tried getting a patent for it, and they basically told him that it would destroy a large swath of certain sectors like pest control and stuff like that, and it was all non-toxic. There was no side effects, but he was not allowed to be able to bring this to the market because it would be devastating to other industry.
Yeah. It's just like the pharmaceuticals are controlling the psilocybin side and the CBD and THC side on the marijuana parts. It's if we try to take money out of the big companies' pockets, they're going to fight you.
Oh, yeah.
So the benefit of experimenting and growing at home is you don't have to worry about them. You can get all your health benefits and all your own self-care from growing your own fruits and vegetables and buying locally grown or growing your own mushrooms if you're able to.
Gotcha.
So what
Now,
kind of like health benefits? So I'm not really a mushroom eater. Like when it comes to food, like I could order a $150 steak with some beautiful mushroom glaze on the top, and I would ask for that shit to be on the side or be removed. Like, so I'm not a mushroom eater, so I'm not. There's a level of like naivety to this. But what type of positive health benefits do fungi mushrooms have?
Well, the biggest one is most, if not all, of the gourmet and medicinal. They contain amino acids that you need for growth, your bone growth, your immune system. They have more amino acids than red meat. So for vegetarians who don't eat meat and they try to get a lot of protein from beans, if they incorporate mushrooms, that's another great supplement for them.
Wow.
They all contain fiber and vitamins. Um, so the biggest ones that are known for medicinal ones are the chaga, lion's mane, and reishi. They help with anti-aging, anti-cancer. They improve cognitive function. They have they help your immune system with and I forget the name. It's like a three-part, really long word. Um, they're anti-inflammatory. They help with weight management, oral health, bone health, cancer suppressant, heart health, digestive health. It's just the list goes on and on. The Asians have been using like the paddy straw and shiitake mushrooms because it helps with digestion. It helps keep like gut rot away. So any bad or any
Wow.
toxic chemicals that you eat in other foods or all these processed foods and candies and soda that we drink, the mushroom will break that down in your stomach.
So like let's say if there was total like a world without rule of law, and you're eating shit food and you're drinking shit booze, mushrooms would actually be imperative. It's almost like the vitamin C to scurvy kind of thing.
Yes.
It could help prevent rot gut.
Yes.
Wow.
They have iron, copper, selenium, other metals that are needed. So that plays in the whole nutrition thing, because you need like vitamin D to absorb vitamin K. Vitamin K is good for anti-clotting in your blood. You need iron to absorb copper. Copper is good for so many different things. For keeping the blood thin so it doesn't thicken up. It's good for weight loss. It's good for diabetes.
Heck yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people don't think about mushrooms like that, and it's one of those, like you were saying, for a lot less than what you would expect to get involved into doing this just for yourself, practicing and playing around, you can actually reap a whole bunch of health benefits from these. So I mean, there's so many different aspects to it. But I know a few people were already chatting in the comments, and I know you deal with only culinary versions of your mushrooms, but they were kind of talking about psilocybin kind of mushrooms. Have you heard anything on the legalization of that? I do think it was Portland, Oregon, or backed off of criminal charges for under a certain amount, something along those lines.
Yeah. So as far as legalization, psilocybin is still illegal. The state of Oregon has legalized possession up to a certain amount. I believe it is 1 ounce per person.
Really?
The state of California has decriminalized possession. Um,
So hold on, I'm
under
sorry.
under FDA regulated tests in California. It's the only way in California that you can get it is if like through an FDA department regulated test. Any other type is highly illegal. California, um, Ohio, and Georgia are the only 3 states where spores are illegal as well on the psilocybin side.
Okay, just to cut you off right quick. I've been noticing they're legalizing a lot of different drugs in California, and I can kind of understand if you live in California, you probably need to be drugged up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
probably. Just like in Florida.
Especially in LA.
Now, what were you saying about spores? I know the concept of the spores and everything. You're saying spores are only illegal in a couple of states. That means you can actually have spores and grow these substrates or these specific mushrooms also.
Growing, no.
Okay.
Possessing the spores for mycology purposes,
Mhm.
which means you're looking at them under a microscope so you can compare. So you have pink spores, purple spores, black spores, red spores, round spores, oval spores, and oblong spores. So each species or variety that comes from different parts of the world produce different types of spores because it needs to survive in either colder weather or more water or whatever the environmental factor is that the spores have to adapt. So studying the spores for mycology purposes is legal. Cultivating in any way, either on agar, liquid culture, straight to grain, that's all illegal. Because
Gotcha.
once the psilocybin is the component that's actually illegal. And the psilocybin is produced by the mushroom as a defense mechanism so it doesn't get eaten. So the
And
spores don't have the psilocybin in it.
yeah, that defense mechanism really sucks. We got a comment. Can you actually ferment mushrooms? I don't know mushrooms having a what is it? Starch or sugar? Sugar can be broken down, or starch can be converted into sugar. So I would assume maybe mushroom vodka.
No, alcohol actually has a very poor effect on breaking down shrooms.
No,
But you
I'm
could
saying
make
to be able
it
to
in-
ferment mushrooms to be
Oh,
able to make alcohol.
to be honest, that's something I have no information on.
Well, we might need to get together. I'm gonna be doing a pot still, so let's see if we can make a mushroom mash and make mushroom vodka or something like that. That'll be interesting.
I am
now.
definitely writing notes down.
Say again?
I said I'm writing notes down right now.
Yeah,
We'll talk
I know
about
that.
this later. That'll be an awesome way, so you don't have to go get corn grain mash or do whatever you need to do on that side. But one of the things that we like to talk about is like I mentioned, self-sufficiency, and when I get a couple more parts together, I will be doing a video on making a pot still, and not just for making alcohol, but just be able to purify your own water, so bad situation happens, you can still have a source of water. That's one of the things that we say is one of the best starting points for your independence. So, is there anything else you want to add, or you want to break off the subject and jump on something else?
One thing I do want to add about one of the reasons I'm starting this is the flavors of mushrooms are so profound.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people, like Dark was saying, he doesn't like mushrooms. Mushrooms have to be cooked to a certain temperature so it can break down the cell walls. If they're not cooked to that proper temperature before they're put in with any other gravy or anything else, they're not going to taste proper, and you're not going to get all the nutrition out of them. But it's different types of mushrooms taste different. Like a lion's mane mushroom has a lobster texture and taste, while oyster mushrooms can imitate the texture of pork. So each type of mushroom will have a different texture and taste, and you can play around with it in different foods. That's why some of them are really good for stews, and some of them are good for sautéing. Some of them are good for chopping up and just being a filler.
Oh heck yeah!
Yeah.
I've always said when it comes down, and I'm not a vegan by any means, but I think people should kind of do like a vegan kind of fast here or there just to be able to help detox your body. And I've always heard, because I used to be in the culinary scene, mushrooms always being referred to as the meat of the veggie world, which they're not even a vegetable, but always heard of them referred to as the meat equivalent for a vegetarian.
Yes, because it's the same nutrition, amino acids, if not better, and the texture can be imitated very easily.
And you don't have growth hormones or anything else in there, that's been spiked by the FDA or whatever else that they've been feeding these animals, that ends up getting passed on to you. And the animals that we're eating, they pretty much hollow. I mean, there's really not a lot of good nutrition in them. It's the equivalent of eating a meat flavored paper bag or cardboard. Just because it tastes tasty doesn't mean there's actually any nutritional value. Same thing with a lot of the vegetables. So that I do like mushrooms for that, because they're going to pick up and break down a lot of the nutrients and minerals locked in the soil and re-release them, inside of the mushroom, or help break them down for another plant to be able to uptake them. So you're dealing with the mushrooms. I got a whole bunch of different specialty varieties of garlic. Some hardneck garlics like Shandong Province, Missouri, German Reds, ones that you can eat, and it tastes like buttered garlic. You can eat it straight off the clove. Other ones hit you like wasabi, and then that heat dissipates real fast, and then it's just the most intense garlic flavor you've ever tasted in your life. Just just same thing with the mushrooms. There's a lot of different flavors involved.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm trying to play around with that on my end. Eventually, I'll have a um, get into farmers markets, but it'll take me about 2 years before I can actually start seeing real results. It takes a while to be able to get those things to grow.
Yeah.
So, what have you seen with this political climate? Just curious. Is it shocking to you? How do you see what society is going through with this polarization between people, groups, everything else like that?
I honestly, it scares me. That's why I'm pushing so hard to be self-sufficient, grow my own fruits and vegetables, going to buy property where I can expand, uh, grow as many mushrooms as I can, and just try to help people like mine, because there's a lot of people out there who just are so self-centered and they don't care. And I know when shit hits the fan, they're the ones going to be doing stupid shit first, and I don't want to be a part of that.
Yep. Yeah, that's a lot of the stuff that we talk about. It's finding your independence, building from there, but also helping and teaching people. Like you just hinted on, and the more people that we can help educate, teach, and give them their own tools to be able to become self-sufficient or do for themselves, less likely they're going to be coming to your door whenever something pops off, to be able to find supplies or take what you have and run off with it, which can be a very dangerous situation. So the more people that we can help out with just little tidbits, let them know that every day just take a little step, move forward to getting something accomplished, the better off you are. But not everybody's going to make it, we know that.
Yeah, I think that a lot of times when we talk about like the world without rule of law or SHTF, the Boog, the like whatever you want to call it, right? It's got so many names now. A lot of times you think about water, food, security, right? Guns, and people's first thought typically is guns. And I would encourage people. So if you're going to be working on your skills, obviously, working on food and water and getting yourself set up for, complete and utter sufficiency and self-preservation. But also, like, while we have the rule of law that we do have, if you're building guns, like I invited a family member that had never built a gun to watch me build an AR, another family member to build some Glocks, lock picking, like working on lock picking with other people, working on like growing grass in the yard, like stupid shit like that. Like we don't share knowledge as much like we used to back in the day because everything is available like that at the flick of a thumb with a device. And I think it's discouraged us from sharing as much as we used to. So think about these things because one day Google's going to turn off because they'll be too busy running the world, and Alphabet will be running our world one day, and share all these skills and abilities with others, right? Like how to grow mushrooms, how like that's why we're doing these kinds of things for you guys.
Sport brand actually has a really good comment. Can you wild sow spores and start reoccurring patches of mushrooms for like a hunting cabin or foraging? I know a little bit about that. Basically, you take an auger bit, go find logs that are laying down that have been dropped by the wind or time, whatever it may be, and you can start poking them or drilling into them, then inoculating them, and basically growing a ton of oyster mushrooms. Am I correct there, Travis?
Yeah, that's one way to do it. The best way to do it is like a freshly fallen tree. You want to catch it within like the first month. But usually what you do is you take the wild foraged mushrooms and you get some honey water It's just water with 4% honey, and you take the mushroom, you put it in that, put it in a blender, make a slurry out of it, and then you walk outside where you want the new mushrooms to grow and pour the slurry on the ground. Given that it's proper conditions, you put some straw on top of it, and then you get mushrooms growing out of that straw.
Oh, hell
What's
yeah,
the
dude.
purpose of the honey?
I'm sorry?
What's the purpose of the honey?
The honey is the nutrition. So when you break up the mushroom, it basically goes into shock. So if it's got nutrition on it or in it, when it recovers from the shock, it accelerates the growth so it doesn't die out. Or it's always a race with fungi because the proper conditions for fungi, mold and other fungi and yeast can grow. So you want the fungi to grow first. So you want to give it that edge with that little bit of nutrition. Just that little bit of honey helps it recover from the shock better.
Interesting.
Heck yeah. So, and can you basically do those patches anywhere you want, essentially? I mean, as long as it's decent, decent growing habitat. I would assume under trees, probably not around pine trees, just because of the acidity. But is there any tips or tricks if you wanted to do your own wild sown mushrooms?
Clear the ground, just down to dirt. That way you don't have any like mold on dead leaves or anything growing in the grass you don't see. So if you have a nice like little patchy area, clear it down to dirt. Get some straw, put the straw down on top of that. Make sure it gets some shade. It's not in direct sunlight all day, and don't cover it up. It needs airflow. Airflow evaporation is what induces pinning, so it has to have airflow. If there's no airflow, it won't grow.
Damn.
Gotcha. And is there, so you can just go to the store and grab chanterelle mushrooms or oyster mushrooms, blend them up, do the honey water, and prep the ground and try to get those growing. Or are there specific varieties that will do a lot better in that kind of scenario?
Each strain has different varieties that grow better in different environments. So just because you find a strain at your grocery store doesn't mean it was grown in the environment that you live in.
Gotcha.
So you have to find which ones grow in your area and try one of those.
I heard all mushrooms are edible at least one time, right?
At least one time.
Can you imagine the first guy that ate the psilocybin mushroom and walked into the village trying to like figure out what was going on with his life?
Starving, hungry as shit, seeing that like, oh, what's this? What's on this poopy? Just so hungry, just starts tripping balls.
I've always wondered this. Back when we were hunter gatherers and foragers and stuff like that, did they take the dumbest or the most worthless person in the village or the community and like, dude, you got to try that plant right there. Let us know what happens.
Yeah,
we had to figure it out one way or another because somebody would try explaining to me that people would watch animals eat plants and they'd be like, oh, that's safe to eat. I'm like, yeah, I know plenty of plants that animals can eat that people can't eat. I'm like, somebody figured it out real fast. They're like, yeah, this dude's dead next to, this nightshade over here.
I think it was all trial and error till it wasn't.
They probably found because back then the values of a human were different, right? So you find the shortest, scrawniest, slowest, slowest dude in the group, hey, try that little adorable plant out. Right? My daughter saw a bird eating those little tiny cherry red berries off of a tree, and she was like, "Ooh, berries!" I was like, "No, that's called death."
I've been through with Wild Dean, Eat the Weeds. He's a food forager, and he goes throughout the U.S. He's also been to other countries. I took my son on a food foraging adventure with him class, and there was quite a few toxic and highly deadly plants where you're able to eat certain parts of it, or eat the skin off of it, or you can't eat this part or this part. And it was one of those where I tried everything, but it was like, yeah, if you swallow that, you're dead. There's no coming back. There's nothing they can do for you. So just make sure you don't chew it. Don't do this, don't do that. And ended up finding, all these different varieties of plants that you look around and you're like, oh, that's a weed. Oh, that's a garbage plant. Oh, what the hell is this? And come to find out, that's a tuber, as in like carrot, or subterranean root vegetable, wild cucumbers. Uh, what the? I'm sorry, I just got a text. But so many different varieties of plants around you that are edible that you would knock your socks off. I mean, I can walk through my backyard and find 3 or 4 weeds, wild plants that I can eat. Purslane is one of them. People use that as like a decorative plant, and once you plant it, it freaking grows rampant. But it's great on salads. I think it's got a good niacin content, vitamin C, vitamin A, a whole bunch of different values. If you have the opportunity, try to find a wild foraging class in your area, and you'll be very surprised on the things that you can actually cultivate and eat, or just be able to keep going. So
that's actually what, yeah.
No, go ahead.
That's actually exactly what I'm. No, you go.
No, you go.
No, I don't want to be rude. No, I'm kidding. That's exactly what I was gonna say. Like, identifying, and this is more like back to the knowledge and skills, right? Like, what type of information are we, practicing and learning, and also what are we sharing with others, right? That shit's important, at least for people that we want to keep alive. So regarding mushrooms, though, are there any specific characteristics of mushrooms in the wild that tells us like what may be safe to eat or not safe to eat?
No, unfortunately not.
I thought so.
Actually, there is one. If you see it glowing in the dark, don't eat it.
Okay, that's a good one.
That's pretty obvious. I mean, that should be pretty obvious for anything.
Actually, fill them in on that, because that's a very interesting story how they made that happen.
Do they actually glow in the dark?
Well, the spores actually glow in the dark, and since there's millions of spores in the bottom of the mushroom, when the mushroom is at the sporulating phase, you'll see them glowing in the dark.
And that was genetic modification from what was it? Some bioluminescent plankton or a squid or something that they inoculated the genes with.
Yeah, it was a seaweed, like they make agar and petri dishes with.
Yeah.
It was a type of seaweed that they used.
Gotcha. I know you've listened to maybe 1 or 2 of the podcasts. I don't think you've watched any of the live streams so far. But we typically have another gentleman on here by the name of Dugan, or Dugan Ashley. That's why it's Dark Light Dugan. He's on sabbatical right now, but he's really, really big on talking about fuel sources, stuff of that nature. And I know I've seen patents to be able to turn mushroom mycelium into polymers, using it for building materials. Now I'm kind of curious, what you can do with it as a fuel source, whether like making a hexamine, gasoline, stuff like that, or, what things you could actually extract from it. Are you familiar with any of those things or properties that you could possibly have secondary use with with fungi?
Hold on.
A friend of mine.
I'm sorry, really quick before you answer, Travis. Cliff, you said you could make hexamine from mushrooms?
No, I was asking if you could.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Like
proceed.
you can get from wood all those different long strain hydrocarbons. I was wondering if you can possibly do the same thing with the mushrooms.
As far as I know, the mushroom waste doesn't produce enough to actually collect and use.
Okay.
They're a friend of mine's a diesel mechanic, and he was talking about they are using some form of algae and using the bio gas that's put off by the algae to create a natural gas replacement. So instead of using LP, using the biofuel from the algae. But mycelium is so energy efficient that if it's not using a protein fiber, it'll literally shut that DNA strand down so it doesn't need it anymore. So in a controlled environment, the mycelium that realizes, hey, I'm not going to fight this type of mold anymore. I'm going to shut those defenses down and use that energy over here. So there's not really a whole lot of output waste.
Gotcha.
If you see waste, it's usually in the form of like yellow discharge, and that's usually because it's fighting bacteria.
Damn.
Okay. So hold on, where are we at? Okay. So another thing I'm kind of curious about, because I know fungus is basically a whole bunch of cells, open cells for the most part, like in a lattice or grid structure. Have you heard of anybody using mushrooms to actually be able to like filter water or something along those lines?
No,
There's
I
a lot
haven't.
of properties with a lot of different natural things, and it's one of those where trying to figure out what can be done, what can't be done, in what modifications you can use to be able to improvise different things. Because I was just thinking, I'm like, man, I wonder if that could be used for like water filtration or something along those lines, because it's a spongy, porous material. I might have to look into that myself. I'm
Yeah,
thinking that's kind of
maybe
curious.
filter your water with some special shiitake. Some special
Theoretically,
spores
it could work. You would have to find a growing medium that wouldn't disintegrate as the water was going through it. So, like mushrooms normally grown on hardwood sawdust mixed with a supplement like wheat bran. So, if you pour water through that, it's just going to disintegrate, and all those little chunks are going to come through. So, you're going to have a secondary filter to stop all that as well.
Gotcha. Matt the man
Well,
wants to know, can we keep on going over fungi propagation techniques? Hell yeah, dude.
maybe the mediums to use in the wild. I like that.
So, all fungi can be reproduced, made clones of. So you can, if you know that you have an environment that produces, let's say, oyster mushrooms, and you go out and you always see oyster mushrooms, you can grab one of those oyster mushrooms, take it, and if you're familiar with agar petri dishes, you can clone the mushroom, reproduce it into. I don't have any growing. Do I have any growing? Any agar dishes growing? I do. Can you go get the blue meanie? Mm-hmm. So if you take a clone, just a little tiny slice on the inside of the mushroom. You don't want the outside because that's where most of the contamination is. So take the inside, you cut it in half, little piece from the inside, put it on the agar dish. That starts growing out. Take some of that and you put it on grains. You can use wheat, rye, popcorn, wild bird seed, so many different types of grains. And then after that, thank you, babe. They go on to the next growing medium, which is your substrate. So most edible and gourmet mushrooms grow on hardwood. Your cubes and psychedelics. There's a couple varieties that grow on hardwood. There's some varieties that grow on It's a standard coconut coir. Now, oyster mushrooms are amazing because they will grow on cardboard, they will grow on your seat cushions, they will grow on straw, they'll grow on hardwood, they will grow. I've seen people take old jeans and shove them in a 5-gallon bucket and produce oyster mushrooms. They're the simplest, easiest to grow. So my camera's not working, so I can't show you this. Anyways, if you want to reproduce an environment outside, the best way to do it is to get that mushroom, cut it up in a bunch of little pieces, put it in a blender with honey water, and pour it on some straw. It could be wheat straw, it could be gas straw, it could be basically any type of straw except for anything alive. You want dead, white, not white, but yellowish straw.
All right. Oh man, I just had a good question I wanted to ask you. It was about mushrooms. I know that much. Basically, when it comes down to growing different types of mushrooms, obviously there's going to be ones that are going to be more difficult. Like you said, there's more specialty scenarios, microclimates, ecosystem, whatever it is, to be there. Oh man, I just completely lost my train of thought, man. I'm sorry. Hold on, let's check the chat, see what else is going on. Oh,
Sorry about that,
cutting
guys.
grass, wood chips.
Some crazy lady upstairs keeps yelling my name. Dark. Cut grass, wood chips. I'm listening intently. Yes, you are. Matt the Man seems to be quite interested in our stream.
Matt, do you have any questions? We'll read them off to him. Travis, I don't know. Can you see the chat?
Can molasses work in place of honey? I've also heard some fruit-bearing trees have antifungals in them. Is that true? Spore Brand is on fire tonight, man.
So, yes, if you almost any sugar can be used in place of honey. You want a fructose or glucose sugar. It's a simple sugar. Sucrose is two sugars combined, and it's harder for the mycelium to break down. So if you have agave syrup, caro syrup, honey, molasses, anything that's a simple syrup, you can use that in place of anything else.
Gotcha.
Fruit-bearing trees have antifungals in them.
To understand the type of process like that, you're making a slush essentially that the mushroom actually goes into shock, and that the honey or molasses or glucose or fructose, whatever you use, actually helps refeed it nutrients to help it grow. Like, that's pretty fascinating.
It is. The magical world of fungi is extremely fascinating. Every day I just read more and more and more and more. I mean, there's so many techniques. There's so many answers to so many questions. It's unbelievable.
I have one
now.
question.
I remember the question. I'll go for it.
Yeah. No, you go ahead.
What I was curious about is, do you have any tips or techniques on actually foraging and finding mushrooms in the wild?
No, not really, because that's such a region-specific thing. The biggest tip I have is don't eat any mushrooms you find in the wild.
Yeah,
because there are so many mushrooms that look similar to other mushrooms. You may not die, but you could get severely sick. There's a lot of false chanterelles and false morels that will give you food poisoning, or you could go to the hospital for 2-3 days having your stomach pumped. That's not something you want to try just because you find something like, oh, I found a chanterelle. And now I see the comments. So Matt, the man, cut grass, wood chips. The easiest way to get the hardwood for growing mushrooms on is if you go to your local hardware store, Home Depot or Lowe's, they have hardwood fuel pellets used for like smokers and stuff.
Yeah, I've seen that.
You can get those, soak it in water, and they break down and essentially turn back into sawdust.
And they'll grow pretty well on that, I'm assuming, because it gives them an easier substrate to be able to break it down and basically eat it.
Yeah, yeah. You basically want more smaller points for it to wrap around.
Very understandable.
I mean, it's like would you rather eat a mouthful of Skittles or a Skittle that's the size of a baseball?
I know some people
Yes.
that would like to eat the baseball.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing that popped in my head was just holding it, like eating it like an apple, you know.
Yeah, exactly. You want a whole bunch of smaller bites. It's just it helps it grow faster. It's healthier.
What would you say the number one to be able to start off with?
Definitely oysters.
Okay.
There's
And
so
you were
many.
saying they're super easy. Grow them on in a 5-gallon bucket with jean shorts.
Yeah, I mean they will literally grow on everything. They're very resilient. You can go to a grocery store, buy an oyster mushroom. If you want to try growing it, make a slurry, pour it on some substrate, and just go for it. I mean, it is a little more complicated than that. I did kind of just really simplify that, but it's not very complicated at all.
We appreciate the simplicity. I actually have a question that may seem odd, yet if people haven't thought about it yet, after I say it, they'll be like, ah. If you have that room, let's say it's a 10 by 10, and you're having a 400 to 500 pound yield each month, what's the smell like?
Earthy.
I would assume if you were growing in shit, it would smell a lot like shit.
Yeah.
One of the big things with mushrooms is consistent airflow. So a 10 by 10 room, the air exchange needs to be between 7 and 12 times per hour. So you have an exhaust fan consistently pulling air out and fresh air constantly being pumped in. Plus,
So it
you have
doesn't
a
smell like old
humidifier. The
cheese.
moisture content's very high, so that keeps the smell down as well.
Would you have to
So
have
it
like
actually,
a special filtration or anything, or can you just do pusher and puller fan for the room?
Um, when you're growing mushrooms, it's not a sterile process, so in that stage, you don't need any special filter.
Okay.
If you're dealing with agar, liquid culture, grains, if you're dealing with like the technical side of it, that needs to be done in a sterile environment.
Gotcha. Okay. That makes sense because a lot of contamination. I mean, that's how they found penicillin. They left the petri dish open, and a spore, landed on the petri dish, and they ended up finding the penicillin out of that.
Yep.
So, I mean, I can only imagine what different little nasties are floating around, just waiting to get started.
I left a petri dish open on top of my flow hood, and then I put one in front of my flow hood as a test. Let it run for an hour, and then I sealed them up and put them on my shelf side by side. The one in front of my flow hood stayed perfectly clean. The one on top of my flow hood was blue and purple and pink and green. It had all kinds of weird, nasty stuff growing in it. It's amazing how much stuff is in the air everywhere, and you just don't. We just become so accustomed to it as humans, we don't even know it's there.
that's crazy, man. So I did want to show one thing. Hold on. It's not in line with mushrooms, guys. Forgive me, but so some people were commenting on the Triple S, the Cerebus Super Shorty, and I'm committed to doing it in a in a battle-worn blue, and I did a test magazine. And I know, like, you're probably like, Jesus Christ, leave this magazine alone. But I want to get some feedback for all y'all watching. Let's see if I can get the light right. Tell me how I did with this battle-worn blue magazine. Now, I did it on a Tapco mag, because if I did a bad job, then I would just throw it in the trash. But let me know your thoughts. That light's not picking up the detail, man. That sucks. I'll tell you what. I'll add a clip. I'll add a thumbnail, and like a nice high quality thumbnail, and it'll be this and a mushroom. How about that?
Love it.
We got two more good questions. What's a flow hood? And can I grow under the plants in my garden? Will it have any deleterious effects on the fruits and veggies?
If you're growing oyster mushrooms, yes, you can grow them with your fruits and vegetables, or whatever plants you have, shrubbery or whatever else it is. And a flow hood is, like Sark said, a laminar flow hood. It's a special filter that blocks 99.97% or higher of particulates being blown through it. So a fan on one side blows air through the filter over your workspace. So anything falling down gets blown away from the airflow, and anything getting sucked in through the fan gets cleaned by the filter. So you have a clean area. You don't have to worry about mold spores or trike, which is fungi's worst enemy because it grows everywhere. Another way you could do it, since they are expensive and they the smallest one you can essentially work with is 2 foot by 2 foot, is called a still air box. Take a big plastic clear tub, turn it upside down, cut 2 holes in it, and stick your hands in and work slowly inside of that box. So you're not producing airflow around.
Okay. That makes sense. Basically trying to isolate it the best you can to make as sterile of a work environment that you possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
That's dope. Damn, that's some good info, man. You may have convinced me to start eating mushrooms.
Well, I would highly recommend you try to go find some lion's mane and some pink oyster mushrooms.
Okay. Okay.
Those are going to give you a good variety of taste and texture, and then you can go from there. They had chestnut. They had the agaricus blazei, which tastes like almonds. They had the anaki, which is a real bitter, soft, chewy mushroom. I mean, there's so many varieties and so many flavors.
Lion's mane literally makes you smarter. Somebody also mentioned if you haven't, and I might be quoting the wrong mushroom, but I think somebody mentioned.
Oh, we lost light.
Somebody mentioned something and he disappeared. It's conspiracy.
Yeah, I know, right? He's getting canceled. One question I would have is if you don't have the room to commit to something like a 10 by 10, but you're doing it in a room where you're still using it, could those mushrooms, spores spread and start growing like on your clothes in the closet and on the floor and wall, ceiling and stuff?
Yes, that's why it has to be in a controlled environment. If you want to do it in your house, you can create it's called, like, you can order them online, like an indoor greenhouse. They're called Martha tents. It's like a little 3-shelf tent with a plastic covering on it. And then you want an exhaust fan, because once they start sporulating, they go. I mean, it's millions of microscopic spores flying through the air.
Hold on, is sporulating actually a word?
Yes.
That's epic. That's awesome.
Yeah, every time I go to hit the chat button's directly next to the leave button. So it's like, crap, I hit the wrong one again. But what I was trying to say is, somebody mentioned that if you haven't had chanterelles, you have not experienced mushroom life.
Yeah, chanterelles are amazing mushrooms.
Yeah,
especially like you find them out in the wild. If you know what they are, cook them up on the open fire. That's the best way to enjoy them.
Yeah, like if it just to me, like they mushrooms in the past literally would make me nauseous. Like if somebody was like, and for you, sir, today we've prepared a wet blanket. Here's a fork and a knife. Like that's kind of how I feel about it.
Most mushrooms that you eat in restaurants and stores are actually the same mushroom. White button, crimini, and portobello, it's all the same mushroom. It's just picked at different stages of growth.
Oh, you're shitting me. Well, white button is the same as portobello?
Yep.
No crap. I love portobellos.
The white button is grown in a different environment. It gets less light, so that's why it doesn't have the brown caps. But you take that same substrate and put it in more light and let it grow to full, you'll get portobellos out of it. It's the same mushroom.
Hell yeah, dude. I really was not aware of that.
Georgina, has anyone ever looked through the Lost Ways survival book, thinking about getting it, wondering if it's worth it? Me personally, I have not, though I would tell you that, most survival books are going to be worth a read or two. And, can't do you harm.
Yeah, it never hurts to have some survival books. And also local edibles, which, same thing with plants as mushrooms. You don't want to misidentify something. So, I mean, if you really, really can save up, let's say 50 to $100 typically they cost to do a food foraging class, it will pay off for you in dividends, because you can be walking in the park or in the woods with your family, your kids, this or that, end up seeing something that you saw on the foraging class. People look at you funny, you snatch it up, and you're like, damn, this is amazing. I mean, flavors you've never had before. So some very interesting things. But yeah, you can never go wrong with the survival book typically. And, everything's going to have a little bit different information or a little bit more information. Sometimes explained to you in better ways that you can take the concept and run with, versus more analytical kind of ways. So, it's to each his own, but I'd rather have more survival books than less.
Yeah, for sure. Matt the Man said, local edibles are key. Know your environment. That's super important. I know we've hit that topic a lot, not only on this channel, but even in this conversation.
I like Matt the Man's profile picture.
Yeah, man. So it's some type of
oh, there is a dog with a squirrel.
Is it a squirrel? I couldn't tell. I was looking through my security camera, because my whole crib is covered in security cameras, just in case you guys get any ideas. And I saw just randomly, I have a raccoon problem, and I saw this little thing like fading in. You know how you see like these like ghost sightings on Ring cameras? Like it's just like a cat walking by quickly. I see this little blob like come, and then it like clear as day, I see a fox just walking by, and he was tall. I almost thought he was a yodi, but just walked right through my front yard, 8:30 in the morning. It's like, what? So that's why, like, every time I step out of the threshold of my bedroom, I'm always carrying a gun and some other stuff too. like less lethal, because you never know. Like if you go outside to take the trash out, it may not be just you, and it may not just be a bad guy, you know. So
A whole gang of raccoons will F your ass up, man. But I think you can make the raccoons work for you, dude. Literally, I'm just saying. If you have shitty neighbors, start throwing, little pieces of food over in their yard or putting it up on their windowsills and just have them, wake up in the middle of the night to a raccoon and, facing them in the window. If they got a dog
you
door,
did
throw
train the duck.
peanut butter towards the dog door. Make
You
things
did
happen,
train
man.
the ducks. I knew it. I knew you trained those ducks.
Oh my God, yeah,
That's
my
nice.
neighbor.
Um,
Georgina, the book was written by elders with their survival secrets. Georgina, I highly recommend, you support people and their knowledge on whatever they put down. But at the same time, if it's on digital format, everything is free on the internet. And I would highly recommend if you have a chance and you can download it as a PDF, print it up, and laminate it. Very easy to do. You're able to get a lot of different books and publications, or just the key stuff you need. And Matt the Man, half Shepherd and half Rhodesian, as in Rhodesian Ridgeback. Those things are freaking awesome dogs.
hell yeah.
That woodchuck found out the penalty for trying to raid my garden. Yeah, damn straight.
Yeah, that's awesome. The fact that that's an actual picture, I just figured it was like a stock picture, from Google or something. Georgina, I do have one question for you, if I may. Are you an actual female? And I have to ask this because our analytics say that our viewership is 100% male between the ages of like 22 and 45 or 47 or something like that. If you are, like, God bless you, and keep coming back. It works if you work it.
Hey, I will say on the podcast, the analytics, is primarily men. There's like 4% or 5% female, and then there is like 4% non-binary and 3% non-specified. So I don't know who the non-binary people are. We appreciate you being here. We just want to
Yes.
be able to help everybody out. There's no hate. It's all love.
Yeah, and I just posted ASL question mark in the chat.
Oh, God.
Oh man,
We're
guys,
about to
I'm
lose.
sorry. I only
We're about to
budgeted,
lose our only female viewer.
yeah. I only budgeted 60 minutes for the stream tonight, guys. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna have to break out here pretty soon, but maybe it would be a good idea for us to put together like a survival guide. Just, I mean, in addition to what we're going to be putting in like on streams and podcasts, and like something tangible that someone could hold and just maybe hit like all 5 categories.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good idea.
Because I have a lot of good ideas for food preservation, dehydrating, stuff like that.
Yeah. Hell
Heck
yeah,
dude. Well,
Well,
one thing here, you want to give him the honors?
It's so funny. We were literally about to do the same exact thing. What up, Pacone? Everyone say what's up to Pacone, man. We're crossing our fingers, waiting for May for him to return. And thank you, Pacone. Genuinely, we're grateful for you coming on our show.
Oh yeah, I agree with Pacone. Or what he's saying, gear for a budget. Go to Goodwill, Salvation Army. Trust me, buy extra socks, buy extra, heavy duty pants, stuff like that. Because if things do go south, you'd rather actually have an extra pair of pants or a jacket, stuff like that. It never hurts, never hurts. But go ahead, Dark.
Bro, I just have to throw this out there. Georgina said, LOL, yes, my husband told me about you guys. Bro, we're penetrating families.
Heck yeah.
I'll word that differently. I'll find
that came out a little weird.
It always comes out a little weird.
Here, guys.
It always comes out a little weird. Okay, sorry. So, Travis, we give our guest of honor, our guest, the honor of naming their podcast that they were on, and we've had a lot of unique names. So, not to put you on the spot, and to put you on the spot, what would you like to name this episode? You are episode 11, I believe.
Of course I am. That's absolutely perfect. What shall we name it? A treatise of fungi. Treatise.
Okay, Light, can you take notes on that for me?
Can you put that in the chat?
Oh yeah, let me type it in the chat. Hold on. Okay, so say it one more time.
Treatise. Treatise.
Oh fudge! It wasn't typing. I'm so sorry. TR.
Thank you, Matt.
Yeah, there we go.
And
At least
Eric.
somebody's paying attention here.
Yeah. Hey, I was typing. It just wasn't typing.
I was just gonna name it "Fun Guys with Fungi."
Can I put FUN space GUY? I'm just kidding. Fungi. Awesome.
All right, everybody. Thanks for coming into the stream. We appreciate the heck out you. We're going to try to get back on a standard schedule, like Tuesdays, Thursdays, and possibly one on the weekends. Some days it's going to be a podcast. Other days it's going to be a live stream. So we're just trying to figure it out. And, we definitely need more guests on here. I still have a whole bunch of people I need to get back with on the emails. So, I want to apologize for that. But, we're all, living our lives and trying to, get all these things put together and, help everybody out and get things moving. So appreciate y'all for real. And Travis, thank you, man. We appreciate you being on here.
Oh, thanks for having me. I love sharing knowledge, and we had a lot of great questions tonight. So anytime you guys want me back on, just let me know.
Hell yeah,
it was super cool, super unique, and I just want to comb your beard right now. That was awesome.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Guys,
you guys
thank
have
you
a good
for
night.
The viewers too. You as well. You guys are our ambassadors. Oh, and really quickly, quick shout out. If you do want to be considered as a guest on Dark Light Dugan, then email us directly at darklightdugan@gmail.com or thedarkestmavis@gmail.com. And double plus on good and Fairchild, please email me at thedarkestmavis@gmail.com. Y'all gentlemen and ladies, or lady, y'all have a good night.
All right. Night.
Peace.